Hello and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am Professor Cunningham. As always, it is Monday at 6 p.m. Math Monday, one might say. Kistrel, good to see you. Glad you're here. As always, checking on my sound levels. I'm a little bit quiet, so I'm actually going to raise those levels a bit. There we go. That's a little better. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Welcome back to the channel. The first thing I want to talk about a little bit today as we move into second grade is pacing. And this is a topic that teachers and students struggle with from kindergarten all the way up through the end of high school. College professors are allowed to pace however they want. But second grade is the first time when we are going to be picking up the pace. There is a lot more nuance in second grade. I would imagine the total raw amount of work that we have to do in second grade is going to be about the same as the combination of kindergarten and first grade together. This is where the ball really starts to get rolling. And it makes me think a lot about, now I teach high school when I'm not unemployed, and pacing classes is always something that every teacher group has to figure out. And so far, in most of the schools that I've been in, the solution has been to try to find a common pace for all the teachers to go at the same sort of pace so that we're all sort of covering the same topics at around the same time. And how exactly we would go about doing that and what we wanted to focus on was something that we would talk about together, and it was fine. And now that COVID is a thing, and now that I've had a chance to sit and really think for a moment about how to pace classes and how math education works in general, I think I'm including myself in this, no shade on these other teachers, I think we were barking up the wrong tree. I think that we can't expect students to all maintain the same pace. We can't expect students to be able to transfer from one class to another and be able to pick it up immediately because it's a new voice, it's a new teacher, it's an entirely new setting. And I think the idea that all students should be moving at the same pace is an idea that we need to start figuring out a way to get past. Math is one of those topics that takes as long as it takes, and no student is ever served by skipping them ahead when they don't understand a topic. It just doesn't work that way. As we've seen in kindergarten and first grade, we are building up a lattice work. In second grade, we're going to start adding and subtracting three-digit numbers, 256 plus 357. If you didn't understand the multiplying two-digit numbers from first grade, if you weren't able to master that topic for whatever reason, again, no judgment, it takes as long as it takes. But if you weren't able to master that, you will not be served by being put in a class where you are going to be asked to do three-digit addition, because that depends on the patterns that you learned before. If you didn't pick up those patterns, you're not ready to move on. And that is one of the big things that turns math from an exploration into a stressful, not even competition. Competition can be healthy, but this is fear. Students are worried that they're not going to be able to pick up the knowledge fast enough, that they'll miss the exam and that they'll fail, and then once they fail, that they'll be a failure forever. And obviously that's not true. You can absolutely come back from a bad exam or a bad term, but in math it is actually very difficult. If you weren't able to synthesize the ideas, you're not going to be well served by being sent ahead. And I don't know what the answer to this is. This is just the way math works. You cannot teach thing C if they don't have the foundation from A and B. And I don't know. I don't know a way to deal with it that doesn't make a ton of work for the teachers. Maybe instead of having a particular pace for everybody, maybe all classes should be allowing students to learn at their own pace. But I don't know how to go about that. It's something I'm thinking about. If I figure it out, I'll write a book, I promise. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about, is pacing. When your student, your child, is learning these things, I really want it to be clear, and I want you to make it clear, that it takes as long as it takes. Okay? I know that there are grades and there are deadlines and there are things like that, but when it comes to math, you can't force it. You can't force it through the fear of the exam, you can't force it through the fear of not turning in homework, all that other stuff. From an early age, students should be allowed to set their own pace. I said before in kindergarten and first grade that students might take off ahead of the curriculum and they should be encouraged to do that. But there are lots of reasons why a student might instead linger back a little bit, maybe struggle a little bit harder. Everyone learns differently, and it could be a learning disability, it could be just not vibing with the teacher, it could be that they had a bad experience with math that they need to get over before they're ready to progress. And all of these things need to be taken into account. We can't just give a one-size-fits-all solution for students, either in grade school or in high school. Anyway, rant over. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual Common Core standards for grade 2. Let's dive right in.